meeting to order. Roll call, please, Ms. Wool.
Ms. Gardner.
Here.
Mr. Jenke.
Here.
Mr. Wareham.
Here.
Mr. Hokala.
Yes.
Here.
We have a quorum. All five members are present. The next item on our proposed agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Ms. Gardner.
I'll second it.
Second, are there any suggested additions to the agenda? May I offer a few? Under reports, please note that the normal financial, budget versus actual, balance sheet, check detail, deposit detail, etc. will be part of this. Secondly, there is a draft fee report in the packet for your review. Under unfinished business, if I may, the suggested salary and wages worksheet for review. And under new business, item 10, a corn main supply purchase request. It's also in your packet. I apologize to both Tracy and to Krista for not having these items flushed out as they were preparing the agenda, so. Kindly accept my apology, I appreciate it. I assume your silence is acceptance?
Yes, yep.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So I would ask those that made the motion and supported it, if they accept those amendments?
Yep.
Yep.
And all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as amended, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries, we have an agenda. Next item on our approved agenda is approval of the minutes from our March 9th, 2022 meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Gardner, is there support?
Support.
Mr. Jenke, is that you? Mr. Jenke supported. Are there any suggested amendments, deletions, corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes from our March 9th, 2022 meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Financial reports. Financial reports in your packet. Previously identified under reports. Is added to the agenda, profit and loss, budget versus actual. Please note that the figures are from last year, closing out the 21-22 fiscal year. Balance sheet as of March 31st, which again is the last day of last fiscal year. The check detail, and 2 sheets, and the deposit detail. And behind them, you will find the Dollar Bay water fee first draft fiscal 21-22 report by, if you will, source of revenue. It may not match the budget versus actual. Collections are still taking place, are they not? For
Collections are still taking
Yeah.
place, but the billing is done, so
so
this
that's
is
a
up to date.
fairly accurate figure then billed, but
Mhm.
there's still receipts coming in. Okay, thank you. Clarification. Are there any questions or comments on the financial reports? Hearing none, do I have a motion to recommend acceptance of the reports up to the board?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Gardner moves. Is there support for the recommendation on the financial reports?
Sure, I'll support.
Mr. Jenke. Any further discussion on the motion to accept and recommend the financial reports before the board for approval? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Payment of bills, we have the bills before us, in the folder. Are there any anomalies or unusual items you'd like to point out? Ms. Wool, Ms. Gardner, either of you?
I don't think so.
Okay. What is your recommendation that the bills be endorsed going up to the board for approval? Do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Wareham moves that we endorse the payment and recommend
Support.
their approval. Ms. Wool supports. Further discussion on the motion to endorse the payment of the bills? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We have reached the first of two public comment periods during the utility board meeting. If anyone present is interested in offering comment for the board's consideration, you'll have up to 3 minutes. Would ask that you identify yourself, and your time will begin when you begin speaking. Anyone interested in offering comment during the first of two public comment sessions? Hearing none, we'll close the first public comment session at this time. So if you kindly note the time. Thank you. Item 8, reports. We have already addressed the financial reports previously identified. Water operator report, I believe it is in writing this evening from Mr. Matfolk to include a pumpage report.
There's 3 months worth in there.
I'm sorry?
Pumpage reports, there's
Just
3.
3 months? Okay, there are more than 1 month of pumpage reports?
January, February, March.
I thought so, but I read it as singular, my apologies. I knew there were more than one in there. Any concerns, questions, comments?
There's two real big numbers there. You know what those are for? Three real big numbers, but no one's here gonna know the answer.
So there's a, is it, what month is it from?
This is,
This is from,
are they January, February, and March?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first 3 months of the calendar year?
this must be March, but I'm assuming.
Is that March one,
Yeah.
there's that leak on
There
it,
was the leak on
We had a leak on the highway.
26.
probably lost a lot of water on that.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that was one, cause there's one that's .20, .21, .21, is that the same?
Probably the right days.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, that was around the 18th, 19th, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's probably good.
Ron, as we go through this, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, not really. All I know is Bob gave me a call, he says, we got a leak, now we gotta find it. Pretty so when he found it, okay. Well, you can tell by the numbers, you know, go out there every day, you can see the numbers are increasing. Something ain't right somewhere.
Any other comments on the reports from the water system operator?
I don't know if we take care of it here, but he's got the parts list needed for repair of drain valves, $1 old tank.
Mm-hmm. We have a separate sheet in the packet
Yeah.
that
Okay, we're gonna be.
Yeah, that's-
specifically. Mhm.
Okay.
That's a court main I referred to a short time ago.
Okay.
My apologies, Don, for
No.
not clarifying that.
That's all right.
If there are no other comments on the operator's report, we'll move to the secretary's report, also in your packet.
I lied,
Appreciate
the
it.
letters are not ready to go out prior to the board meeting. I think this last week,
Would you like to expand on that?
just super busy, there's been so, like, payments alone, I took in almost $13,000 just this week. Yeah, so it's been nuts.
Letters referenced will be going out at the earliest
Next
opportunity.
week, yeah.
Any questions of Krista? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Mason Sewer Operator's Report. Mr. Sewer, the floor is yours.
All right, system's been running good there, haven't had any issues, but Monday I got a call from Mark about discolored soil up on Forestman Road there. And so I took a ride up there, checked it there, I got down, smelt it, put my fingers in it there. I could not find no sewer smell to it at all. I took pictures. We had our meeting in Franklin Township. Ron Hatia was there, and I showed him the pictures there, and he says, you got some iron down there that's rusting away. That's why you have that discoloration up there. So I said, is there an issue that we should be concerned about? He says, around the copper country, you got quite a few spots where you're gonna have iron ore that's just buried in the ground.
Yeah.
With the water table being so high, it's just coming to the surface. But
So it
he-
doesn't have anything to do with our equipment, it's
No,
just,
No,
okay.
nope, the pressure line's good there, and
Mhm.
I mean, several times I got down there and just actually pulled like a hole in there.
Yeah.
It's good.
Braver than I in that respect, Jim. We did receive a call from a resident up there. Sue called, was concerned about it, went up there, alerted Jim, who responded. And then we talked later in the day, and he did a far more detailed inspection than I. I did get my boots muddy and did try to smell something, but I was uncomfortable digging a hand into it, not sure what it was, so braver soul than I.
Yeah, well, I had.
Is this on the line
sanitizer.
going up the hill then, it's somewhere on the hill itself?
Yeah, on the right side,
It's right past Sue's house on the right.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a marker up there,
If
and,
she identified it for us, please,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
yeah. Got a stake up there, little flags on there with
Streamers,
markers.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was able to find it there,
But it's not us.
no. And I do know what sewer smells like, I mean, when I'm back at Heritage Manor, we walked in about 2 years ago, and Sherry Hughes, the executive director, and she goes, look at the water coming off the hillside. I walked over and I'll be calling the city out, and she goes, why? I said, sewer's backed up, it's coming out of the ground. One of the inmates flushed a sheet down the main drain, it comes right down alongside the building. And sure enough, when they dug it up, that's what they found. So I do know the odors quite well. I'm not putting that on my resume though.
At least it was a sheet and not another mop head.
Well, this was in the city of Holton line, so.
Yeah.
What he's trying to say is he knows his shit.
Well, I don't want to state it quite like that. But besides that, everything, knock on wood, been going good.
Thank Mr. Wareham for the very apt description. We may have been thinking it, but certainly immediately put it into
Why
context.
hold it back?
Well, can I just add 2 cents in there?
Please,
When Glenn Eckdale was supervisor, he said he's gonna make me some cards up there, and he said, what do you wanna put for your motto? And I said, I know my crap. He goes, I don't think so, Jim. That's all I have.
thank you very much, sir. Any questions of Jim? I appreciate the prompt response, Jim, to the
Oh, yeah.
situation. And I also thank Ms. Streeter for her concern.
Yeah,
It's appreciated, even though it was, in essence, nothing to be concerned about. Better to have someone respond and check it out and conclude that there's nothing there than to have someone shrug their shoulders and have a serious issue on their hands. So
I
I think she
respond pretty
appreciated the way
quickly.
we responded, so,
Yeah,
particularly Jim, so thank you.
it doesn't matter what time of night, if somebody called and said there's an issue, I'll be out.
Anything else under reports? Any additional questions of Jim? Any other comments on any of the other reports? Hearing none, unfinished business. Listed it here, in your packet is a draft worksheet relative to salaries for this part of the water system. And this is something that was taken up in Tamarack City a week ago at the Tamarack City meeting. It lists the employees, if you will, for the water system, along with the utility board at the bottom. It identifies the current rate of pay. It looks at the ranges that would have been suggested and or approved for planning purposes. And then it breaks out the water supervisor, treasurer, clerk positions at a 5% level and at a 7% level. And what that would look like, how much it would be involved, and what the end product would be. We're still in the process of putting our budgets into workable order for the current year. A recommendation on this sheet would be very helpful. I think this board may benefit from the Tamarack City Water Board's recommendations that would be highlighted at the next meeting, so desired, but if you don't mind, I'll bring them to your attention now with Don's assistance. We looked at the same thing. The one thing that is an anomaly there, it says 7%, but the suggested salary of $16.50 an hour for the receptionist water secretary is not 7%. It just falls into that range of between 16 and 18 that we had approved for planning purposes. And it would be indicative of a $3 an hour raise for the position, which is considerably more than 7%, but at the lower end of the increase rate range that we approved some time ago when we were planning budgets for the current fiscal year. At 5%, the water supervisor's salary would increase by $794 to $16,661 is the share from Osceola Township. At 7%, it would go up by $1,100 and about $18, and would end up with an increase in the range of, or a salary of this portion of the water system of $16,000, I believe it's $980 or thereabouts, give or take $1 or two on the rounding stuff. Excuse me, I misspoke, 13 versus 18, I better put my glasses on. For the treasurer and the clerk, you can see the 5% and the 7% ranges and what it would mean relative to increases in salary for each of those positions inside the system. These were discussed in some detail in Tamarack City, and the recommendation coming up from the Tamarack Water Board to the Township Board is to, for planning purposes and ultimate approval, is to increase the receptionist to $1,650 and apply the 7% increase for the other three positions inside the water system. It would hold the utility board at $50, and the Tamarack City Board would come up to $50. Understand that the rates would then be identical for both advisories. In addition, the share borne by the Osceola portion of the water system would be borne wholly and solely out of this water system. The increase recommended in Tamarack City would be wholly borne by the Tamarack City water system. There are some other adjustments made, but they're not on the salary line coming out of Tamarack City. Did I recount that correctly?
Yeah,
Thank you. So,
we did, and we looked at 5%, and then we thought this has been 3 years. And if you look at the difference between 5 and 7%, you're talking $300 a year difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we decided to go with the 7. It's not gonna break anybody's bank for $300 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
there is no effective date identified yet. The hope is that if this board recommends that rate to the full board, in its capacity this moment as the utility board, then if approved by the governing board, those would be the figures we would use to prepare the new amended budgets for salary lines, hourly rates, and what have you, for consideration and ultimate approval, ideally at our May meeting. Don aptly pointed out setting aside the current rather excessive rate of inflation that's out there and affecting everybody. The last 3 fiscal years, I believe, the total increase in inflation or cost of living more appropriately is collectively around 10%. So these would be notable and identifiable increases, but they are below what the cost of living has gone up over that 3-year period. I can only use Social Security as an example for myself, but it went up approximately 6% from last year. This year was slightly below the current rate of something in the neighborhood of 8% annually during the current calendar year. But we set that aside. We're looking at our fiscal years only. This is still for planning purposes until we go through the process of approving the amended budgets with these figures, and then we would pass the resolutions if salaried employees are affected in May as well, understanding that there is a time period allowing the community, the public, and Osceola Township to respond to that if they choose to. So, trying to be deliberative in the process, open, and explaining the steps along the way. So, questions, comments, concerns about this?
Move to recommend to stay in step with the Tamarack Utility Board or the Water Board to recommend these changes, same changes to the governing board.
I have a motion from Mr. Janke to follow Tamarack City's model and accept the figures identified and recommend it to the board for action. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Mr. Wareham supports the motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Any questions on the motion? Because it is a recommendation and not final action and is not expending any money at this time, but simply identifying figures, if I understood the motion correctly, Mr. Jenke, for planning purposes and ultimate approval by the board in essence, to go forward at the next meeting, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah,
I'm ready to say let's do it, so you
Okay,
can
well,
call it
your
planning
motion is
purposes
to
or
recommend
whatever.
it to the board, I'm premature in what I'm saying, I apologize.
Yeah, my motion is to recommend it to the board as they are,
Right.
so.
And Mr. Worm supported that, and my amendments are not applicable.
We've been talking about this for many months now, and I wanna stay above the Walmart pay rate for this people, so, I think they're worth more than that, so that's why my recommendation is what it is.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion,
I'm
please
just saying.
indicate by saying aye.
I-
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have a recommendation to the board.
I don't wanna lose a good person
No.
to that.
Next item on our agenda is new business. There is in your packet a Cord Main supply purchase request itemized. Mr. Matt Folk, our water system operator, dropped off.
So he didn't buy this yet?
None of this has been purchased.
Okay,
is
this was just a
to
request.
expend
I-
this money
oh,
on
okay,
his
all right.
behalf.
I mean, he did, but he had to use it all to fix that.
Yeah,
He
this-
had it ready for the valve.
So we're just replacing right now.
Basically.
Replacing what has
Yeah.
been used to fix the leak apparently.
I see no problem with that, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve up to 2,500. I just wanna leave room for the shipping. We ran into an issue like that before, up to 2,500
Okay,
to
I
cover the
like
cost
that.
with the shipping.
Well, it's not only the shipping, but materials are subject to change the
Right,
pricing at the time of
right.
shipping, so.
That steel is going nuts right now.
No, it is.
Ms. Gardner has moved the figure of $2,500 for the purchases to include shipping the items and any additional costs that may be incurred by price changes. Did I interpret that
Yep.
correctly? Is there support for the motion?
I'll support it.
Worm supports. We have a motion and support for $2,500, Cord Main itemized the purchase of supplies to replenish what already been used by our water system to repair the leak. It includes the shipping cost. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We've concluded everything on our agenda for new business. Is there anything at this moment that anyone on the board feels we need to discuss at this time relative to the water systems? Hearing none, we'll offer a second opportunity for public comment. Anyone present that would like to offer input to the board, you'll have this opportunity during our second public comment session. You will have up to 3 minutes once you begin talking. Please identify yourself should you wish to address the board, and your time will begin after you identify yourself and begin talking. Hearing none, Ms. School, would you kindly know the time? We'll close the second public comment session. Any other business to come before the board? A motion to adjourn is in order.
Motion.
Ms. Poole, is there support?
I'll support.
Ms. Gardner? We have a motion and support to adjourn. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Please note the time, Ms. Poole. We'll take about a 3-minute break and then begin the township board.